The greenhouse you. It was on the 37th night that I finally realized he had planned it all along. That day, the weather was lovely, and when I woke, sunlight was slanting gently across the sheets, pure and soft. Just like the past 37 days. He sat at the edge of the bed, holding freshly made breakfast, his face full of tenderness. "Good morning, Ching Ching." Instinctively, I shrank back, pressing against the wall behind the headboard. He didn't get angry, just smiled. "Still afraid of me?" "It's been over a month now." I said nothing. The white cotton dress I wore was something he had chosen for me. He said it suited me best, like a flower in a greenhouse, pure, fragile, and in need of care. And he, willingly, became that greenhouse, enclosing me gently. His name is Shinamo. He's been my friend for 10 years. More precisely, the one I thought I trusted most, my male best friend. We met in high school. He was always quietly by my side. He remembered which milk candy I liked, knew I hated sitting by the window under the sun too long. When I fell in love, he helped me deliver Valentine's gifts. When I got my heart broken, he silently drank with me. I always thought his feelings for me were just deep friendship. But he had always been waiting. Waiting for the moment when I could no longer escape. It was during the week when I was betrayed by my company, had a failed relationship, and faced cold indifference from my family, that he appeared. "You're tired, aren't you? Ching Ching, come home with me, okay?" I thought it would just be a short rest. Until that morning when I woke up and realized. The door lock was sealed from the outside. The windows were reinforced bulletproof glass. My phone had no signal. The computer wouldn't turn on. I had been placed under house arrest. "You can't do this," I screamed, slamming on the door until bruises covered my arm. "I can't let you return to the people who hurt you," he said softly. "You deserve to be protected, to be loved, not trampled by the world." I cried the entire night, clenching my teeth, refusing to let him touch me. But he didn't get angry. He gave me a soft bed. Gentle, fragrant shampoo. Meals that changed every day, never repeating. His overwhelming tenderness wrapped around me like vines. Tightening bit by bit. By the second week, he began helping me bathe. He would always heat the water first, light scented candles, and ask softly, "Pink or white today?" I held myself tightly, glaring at him. He only knelt by the tub and tested the water temperature. He never forced me. But his gaze pricked my skin like needles, bit by bit. I resisted for 4 days. On the 5th, I fell ill with a high fever. He stayed up all night, fed me medicine, cooled my forehead, changed my soaked clothes, and murmured, "You really break my heart." That day, I let him change my clothes for the first time. He wiped every inch of my skin, his fingers warm and restrained. "You're too thin." He frowned, guiding my hand to his firm abs. "See? You need to be like me, strong enough to protect yourself." I said nothing. But my heart was a mess. I realized. It had been far too long since someone treated me like this. That night, he held me to sleep. He didn't do anything else, just held me, tightly. His chest was broad, heartbeat steady. And in his arms, I slept surprisingly well. By the 30th day, I was already used to him picking my clothes. He liked me in short skirts, said my legs looked like a swan's. I looked at myself in the mirror. And found, strangely, that I looked beautiful. He kissed my forehead and said, "I've waited so long for this moment." I didn't respond. But I didn't resist anymore either. I wasn't sure if I was falling in love with him. Or falling in love with being needed by him. On the 37th day, he took me out of the secret room. Upstairs to the greenhouse. It was filled with blooming roses. Photos of us from high school were pinned to the walls. "This is our new home," he said. "From now on, you won't have to face any more pain. You belong only to me." I looked at his face. Deep features, fair skin, and eyes burning with focused madness. I had introduced countless girls to this face, never knowing that the love within it was meant for me. He took my hand and kissed it, fiery and gentle. I closed my eyes and didn't refuse. I didn't know where else I could run. Maybe he really was the only one who ever wanted to fully have me. By the 60th day, I kissed him first. I learned how to respond to his embrace, how to match his rhythm. I thought it was surrender. But one night, I dreamed. And in the dream, I was smiling at him. Truly smiling. I woke up crying. And realized I really needed him. Not because he locked me away, but because the outside world was far too cold. And his world was too warm. He kept saying, "I love you, so I want all of you." Now I understood. I wasn't a bird he tamed. I was a flower that willingly stayed in his greenhouse, to be watered only by him, to bloom only for him. I finally realized he didn't steal my humanity. He taught me how to depend on someone, even down to the edge of the abyss. It was on the 75th day that I first had the thought of escaping. That day, Shinemo wasn't home. He said he was going to a faraway orchard to buy the grapes I loved. He said he might be back late. It was the first time he had been gone this long. I sat on the soft lounge chair, staring out at the greenhouse garden. My heartbeat was uneven. Beyond the glass were sunlight and blue skies. The freedom I thought I'd never see again. I stepped into his study, the one he never let me near. What I saw in the drawer stunned me. There were keys to my old apartment, SIM cards, cut-up photos, and my long-lost journal. He hadn't brought me into this world by chance. He had planned it for years, waiting for the moment I was most vulnerable. I clutched the journal and sank to my knees, my knuckles white. But I couldn't even tremble. That he loved me, I had never doubted. But this kind of love, wrapped in sugar coating, was gentle and deadly. He came home at dusk. When he opened the door and saw me sitting in the center of his study, his face changed. "You saw it?" he asked quietly. I nodded. He stayed silent for a long time, like he didn't know what to say. Finally, he slowly knelt before me and buried his face in my lap. "Are you going to leave?" His voice trembled. "I'll let you go. If you say you don't love me, I'll let you go." I bit my lip, tears falling uncontrollably. He wasn't unaware of how twisted he was. He just didn't want to let go. I held his hand, and for the first time, I hugged him willingly. "I'm not leaving, Shinemo." He looked up, disbelief written in his eyes. You're not afraid of me." "I am," I said honestly. "But I'm more afraid that we'll ruin everything, until even our love becomes ugly." He froze. "You can stop trying to control me, but don't stop loving me, okay? Real love doesn't lock me away. It walks out into the world with me." When I said that, my heart felt like it might explode. He stayed quiet for a long time. Then slowly, he wrapped his arms around me, like holding on to a faith. From that day on, we made a decision to start therapy together. He asked me, "If I get better, will you still love me?" I smiled. "If you're willing to change, I'll love you even more." On our first day in counseling, He held my hand so tightly, like a child. I'm scared, Ching Ching. I know. But I'm here. The therapist didn't scold him. Just asked gently, why do you love her? Shinemo said softly. Because she's always been someone the world should love. But the world is too cruel. I just wanted to hide her away. I said nothing. Just leaned quietly into his arms. The process wasn't easy. He had emotional outbursts. Sleepless nights filled with guilt. I had my doubts too. Wondering if this relationship had been a mistake from the start. But when he released my hand in front of others and said, she can make all her decisions freely. She doesn't need my permission. That moment, I knew, he was truly changing. We slowly returned to normal life. He no longer bathed me. But when I came home from work, he would offer a warm cup of cocoa. He no longer held me so tightly I couldn't move. But gently asked, you're tired, right? Let me hold you while you sleep. Sometimes we joked around. He'd whisper in my ear. I used to only imagine this. But now you're really here. And I get to tease you legally, this is heaven. I'd laugh and hit his chest. Then he'd catch my hand and kiss it. This kind of tenderness felt more real than ever. One night, I dreamed I was back in that secret room. But this time, he opened the door and said, go. I won't lock you in again. I looked back at him. He stood in the light, clear-eyed. Like the boy who once stood outside the library. Smiling as he handed me a bottle of water. When I woke up, he was reading by the window. Sunlight bathed his chest. Toned, calm, peaceful. He turned to me and smiled. Good morning, princess. This time, I didn't shrink back in fear. I smiled and hugged him. Whispered in his ear. You're no longer my prison, Shinemo. You're the home I choose to return to. I know we're still working through it. There are shadows from the past we still need to dismantle. But this time, we're not pulling against each other. We're walking hand in hand toward the light. He once was the greenhouse that caged me. Now, we're tearing down the walls together. Learning how to grow under the sun. I love him. Not out of forced surrender. But because even after gaining freedom, I still choose to stay. The end.
Alright, today's story ends here. Wishing all our dear listeners and viewers a peaceful and restful night. If you could leave a like, a positive review, and subscribe, your wishes will surely come true, and fortune will follow. Good night.